Hello again. Doing more stuff with this guitar. The guitar that seems to never actually be done. I'm going to try to give a bit of a demo about the more complicated feature on the guitar, the hexaphonic audio coming from the bridge to the preamps to the control box and to the Raspberry Pi to the things to the output to the amplifiers for the noise. And yeah, also some interesting stuff. I finished the guitar case. Now to open it. There's been a bit of customization to the case to make room for the 13-pin cable and the guitar strap. The control box mostly just fits there, except for I also had to hollow out an extra divot on top for it to work. But it does the thing. This guitar has been a long time in the making. Now that I'm done ogling it, all I've got to do is plug it in. What you are looking at here is a Behringer FCB101. This is a MIDI foot control board where I thought that initially it would work the way that I wanted it to, but it didn't. It didn't quite work how I imagined it would with my guitar effects that I had in mind. The multiple momentary on-off, or not momentary, but latching on-off things. And after a little bit of searching, I found some other folks called Eureka already figured this thing out. The folks at Eureka make another programmable read-only memory chip that sits right in place of the one built in and makes the whole thing act a whole lot more like a guitar pedal should, I think. Like, you click that, now that one's on. Now that one's on. Now this one's on. That's awesome. You can turn them on and off. They stay on and off. The expression pedals work. Pretty sweet. But that's not entirely sweet just by itself. the MODEP UI comes into play as well. But before going further, you need to hear the dial-up modem noises. The dial-up modem noises that this beast makes when you turn it on. And that noise you heard after a brief dial-up session is the noise that's coming from this guitar and that little amplifier there. That's the piezo pickups. A brief explanation of what's going on with this guitar is that I have magnetic pickups which can be controlled in pretty much any way that I could think of via switches or the knobs. Each magnetic pickup has its own volume and tone knob stacked over on the far outside of the guitar. In addition to that, the bridge is a special bridge that is made by Schaller. It is the Schaller Hannes Bridge. And each saddle here independently has its own piezo pickup built into it. So in addition to the 3 magnetic pickups that I have, there's an additional 6, one for each string. That is a tiny bit of a nightmare on the inside of the guitar as far as wiring and things like that go, but it could be worse. The signal from the piezo pickups either gets switched through the acoustic system or through the Raspberry Pi based system, but to get all the way out to the Pi properly, there is a 12 or a 6x12 preamp that I designed that pushes the audio cleanly along the 13-pin cable out to the control box where I have things connected. Notably here, I have Ethernet hooked up, and that Ethernet and USB is there for my virtual pedal board and my ability to control it, because I have this computer set up over here, and here you can see the Mod UI interface. But now I will actually talk about that more. This is the Mod UI. This is the user interface for the virtual MODEP pedals that get loaded up and ran. Now, notably, over here you can see there are 8 inputs, but because of the sound card that I'm using, only 6 of them are actually usable, but that's enough because that's how many strings my guitar has. You can see that I have the lower 4 EADG strings able to run through a fuzz first. The 2 high strings, B and E, run through a compressor, an optional tube screamer. All of that gets summed into the tube screamer and the rest of the effects. I have some distortions, chorus flanger, delay pedal, reverb, wah, a loudness pedal, which this knob here, this level knob, is assigned to the rotary encoder that sends MIDI data out from the actual guitar itself. So the knob on the guitar controls this. The button on the guitar controls whether this first tube screamer or the second tube screamer is on or not. there's a looper pedal, and that feeds into an equalizer. The equalizer is notably just jacked way down on the high side, and that's to cut the hissy high meh that you get with piezo pickups when you don't have extra capacitors to filter the high stuff on each string. So rather than soldering more capacitors into the circuit, how about a virtual EQ? And it works for now. All of that goes lastly through an additional loudness pedal, which the line level on that is tied to the volume pedal, or what I'm using as a volume pedal post loop on my MIDI foot control board. Now, as you can see, I've made a couple changes. I just added an extra EQ on the high strings because I thought they needed it a little bit extra as well. Seeming an extra little bit harsh as I was listening to the recordings once again. And yeah, I guess now I will give you a tour of how this sounds when I'm putting it to work. Something like that. With just the fuzz on the low strings. Compared to without. And the high strings are unaffected until I turn their distortion on. Yeah, I guess that's a decent demo of what that board is set up to do. Aside from the delay, which I haven't decided where I want to get that set up yet, but... yeah. So, yeah. The other trick this can do, let's look through the pedal board library and see what other garbage I've been manufacturing in my free time. Now, if this actually loads up, look at it did. It's so glorious. Anybody tell what this is? That's 6 monophonic synths, because then I have a synth. A synth on each channel. Yeah, synths. But if they're not quite tuned, Yeah, pretty fun. Touchy synths, but that's fun because there's 6 of them. Yeah. Wave on that oscilloscope. Yeah. Yeah. Glorious. Thanks for watching the thing. If you made it all the way to the end, I'm kind of surprised, but cool. See you next time.